All right, in my last video, I talked about Seven Wonders Duel with all the expansions. Is it worth it? Not just Pantheon, also add Agora. But then I started thinking of Seven Wonders Duel's variant or offshoot, the Lord of the Rings Duel. So, which one's better? All the expansions version of Seven Wonders Duel. So, game that started as like a 20-minute game, add an expansion, 20 minutes to 40 minutes, add another expansion, 50-minute game, like merging into an hour-long extravaganza versus this basic Lord of the Rings Duel. No expansions. We just recently, last month, heard of an expansion coming. So, um, and by the time that this video gets out, it'll have been probably 2 months. But anyways, price wise in my country, both options are similarly priced. This Redditor is saying, which do option do you think is better in the long run? So price wise, both options are similarly priced. Oh my goodness! In that case, get all the expansions. That's like 3 boxes to one, right? Okay, well let's talk about it. So both. Why not both? Sorry, I like both. Is what somebody said. That's funny. All right. Next up, yeah, I think both is good. Pick both. Personally, for me. Now, Just a Modest Man says, I think Lord of the Rings Duel is the superior game. Okay, but it depends on what you are after. For me, Lord of the Rings is streamlined and feels more thematic. I like the way the game builds up to Age 3, then war breaks out. I also like the streamlining of some systems. For Seven Wonders Duel, I honestly prefer just the base game. So yeah, if you're somebody who doesn't want the all the extra expansions, the complexity that those add scares you, then yeah, Lord of the Rings Duel is more gonna be more your cup of tea. All right, but for Seven Wonders Duel, honestly prefer just the base game. Some would argue that Pantheon makes the game a lot better, but as someone who's played 40 plus games of Pantheon, I miss the simplicity of the original, which is probably why I liked Lord of the Rings Duel so much. He admits it. I think Pantheon makes money far too important, and it really makes skill difference apparent. That last bit is a very important bit. Okay, wait, let's read it again. I think Pantheon makes money far too important. Yeah. Yeah, it makes skill difference apparent. Well, that doesn't that mean that it's a better game if it makes a skill difference apparent? That last bit is very important. If you want a very skill testing, sweaty game, then Seven Wonders Duel plus Pantheon is what you want. I echo what he's saying. Plus, add Agora in there. That's what you want. If you want this skill testing, sweaty game. If you want a more laid back, casual game that still requires a decent amount of planning and thinking, then Lord of the Rings Duel is your answer. Okay. So, why would you want a laid back, casual game when you're playing a game like Seven Wonders or like a duel style game? I guess that would be the question I have, and I wonder if it might be for the couples gamers that like one couple is not as invested, but they want to play a game and they want to have kind of a shot at winning. They're gonna have a really tough time winning in Pantheon because one player knows all the gods like the back of their hand and knows all the edge cases, and then the other player is just like, I think I heard of Aphrodite in like history class or English class somewhere. We had to read the Iliad and the Odyssey. I don't know, like what does that do? 9 points. Okay. Like, oh, there's Raw. I don't know anything about that. Anyway, so um yeah, Pantheon's gonna be difficult for a new player to get into. I think that the OG duel is superior, this person's saying, but your guidance is spot on. Yeah, I really like this. 40 likes, that's so true. This person's admitting that they'd rather a simple laid back game when it comes to dueling. The Lord of the Rings duel games I've played, it mostly comes down to counting who has presence in more regions. Okay. And the meta is still growing with Seven Wonders Duel, Lord of the Rings, or the Lord of the Rings Duel. All right, so maybe that won't be the case as the game we get the meta. I really, really want them to bring it to Board Game Arena so we can understand it. All right, in Seven Wonders Duel. Okay, and that feels even more boring than counting points in Seven Wonders Duel. Yeah, it really does. So in Seven Wonders Duel, everything you did gave you points, so it was still a mystery who won in the end. Yeah, they really need to have some face down secret scoring for Lord of the Rings Duel. But with both duels actually. But with Lord of the Rings duel, it's very clear nearing the end of H3 if race, ring, or military wins won't happen, and you're just drafting cards with no outcome. I think that killed the game for me, and we keep going back to Seven Wonders Duel. Hopefully, an expansion can fix this, as I still would love Lord of the Rings version better. Why? Because of the better artwork? Okay. So, played a bunch of Seven Wonders Duel games and had fun. Played 2 to 3 games of Lord of the Rings and sold it. It was meh for us, to be honest. Oh man! And then you got people online who are in like the YouTubes and stuff who are very very prevalent people who are saying this kills Seven Wonders Duel for me. But I guess if you play like 1,000 games a year or something, and it's your job to review games, you're not going to want to be playing Seven Wonders Duel like 40 games and getting really really good at it. And when you do play against somebody who's not spreading their talent across 1,000 games a year, but just really good at a couple games, getting really good, grinding your talents against like 10 games can get you really good at games in general, rather than just like surface level, just learning the rules, playing some games, in my opinion. That was a really thrown out there opinion, but that's what I'm doing. I'm throwing it out there. Like, if you really really work hard at like chess, Seven Wonders Duel, um, like Santorini, other duel games, like non-cooperative ones. We're talking like Splendor Duel or Yokohama Duel, and you just get really good at just playing this two-player Arc Nova game. You're going to start to notice patterns on how to take things that your opponent wants and grab things at opportunistic times that help you and hurt your opponent in the maximal possible way. And so you'll get really good at those things. And then when you play against somebody who's casually playing a bunch of games, thousands of games, then they're not going to enjoy Seven Wonders Duel. They're going to want a more casual experience. So this person has played plenty of duel games, and now they are thinking that Lord of the Rings Duel is meh. Me personally, I do quite a bit of duel games, but I also really enjoy just like the social deduction. The large player count games are exciting to me, and I like to play a lot of games every year. And so I'm kind of in the mix between these two. Like, I love the deep strategy rather than just thinking tactically a couple turns ahead. I like thinking like 9 turns ahead. Um, but at the same time, I like the chill games as well, and I'll invest time in all of them. So I'm kind of in the middle here. I don't think Lord of the Rings Duel is meh. I think it's got potential, and I want it to get an expansion. All right, so the 2 expansions add a lot to Duel, whereas standard Lord of the Rings Duel is basically a refined game, which is fine. But if you're going or long term, you will want the expansions. Okay, they're saying you'll want the expansions. Um, well, yeah, Lord of the Rings Duel is going to get an expansion. Whoo, we're excited for that. Since they are similarly priced, Seven Wonders Duel with expansions, I think it objectively makes for a slightly better game. I get tired of Seven Wonders Duel's lack of ways to change tempo. Yeah, but add the expansions is better. That said, this also depends on you as a gamer. So, if you are in love with Lord of the Rings or hate setting up extra stuff, you may simply prefer Lord of the Rings Duel. I also like the little war aspect a little bit more. Yeah, the war is fun. I'd rather a war than a conflict pawn going back and forth, but that's just how it goes sometimes. Um, I mean, I'm fine with the conflict pawn. It's whatever. But if we turned it into an actual like staging of all of the wonders, oh, that would be so cool. Like having like the different wonders that you grab, dotting the different locations, and you could build the pyramids. Whenever you build a wonder, you build it in a location, and you have these locations on the map, and you just put like a pyramid token of your own player on the map where you build that wonder, and then you have armies taking over wonders, and you could trade wonders around and stuff like that. We're at this point talking about a different game, because the simplicity of the conflict pawn moving back and forth is necessary for all the other complexities that come into Seven Wonders Duel with 2 more expansions to boot. But I will just say, like, that Lord of the Rings Duel map. When I saw that, I was like, oh, this is going to be really good. And maybe that's why it has to be so simple, because the movement in the grid is pretty complex. Agora does kind of have some movement back and forth, though, of troops of your politicians. Pretty limited movement, but not too much. Not too much more limited um, than the ability to move troops two dimensionally around a grid for Lord of the Rings duel. If you like the lore of Lord of the Rings, get Lord of the Rings. If not, the Seven Wonders is also great. Okay, original's better. They're saying. I have played Lord of the Rings Duel yet, haven't played, but as far as I know, it's basically a re-implementation of Seven Wonders Duel. On the other hand, I played. Well, I mean, it's very different. Like the race cards are different than the science cards, even though they're the same color. They're more like pantheon gods, grabbing pantheon gods. Really, when you get two of the same, you're going for random tokens rather than progress tokens laid out in front of you. Plan for those. Um, so there's some randomness more so. So there's that, and then I mean, it actually like you get to draw the top two of three. So there's a good chance you'll get the token that you want to get. Two of three from your first grab. And anyways, then the next thing that makes it not a exact implementation, we'll go to look at the blue cards. There's no points in the game, so the blue cards are now a track that is not a tug of war. It's just like when you get enough blue cards, you just win. And then the rings from blue cards, and then the next the red cards. That's that map where you're moving around in a two-dimensional grid, and you just have to have presence in all the areas. And if your opponent just has just a ton of people in one area, then you can get presence from it by getting a monument in that area, and so then it doesn't matter. Um, so kind of like presence in all of the political areas in the Agora expansion. So it's like they took the political part, the science part, because if you do get all the races, or six of the seven different race symbols, then you win just like science. And then three, you get the far enough in a track, kind of like the conflict pawn, but not really. So switching the red cards like feel with the blue cards feel. Yeah, and even on that track, when you reach certain checkpoints, you get things like the conflict pawn reaching certain checkpoints, you get to destroy your opponent's coins, or in the Gore expansion, get to have some other ability with the politicians. In the Lord of the Rings one, the blue cards give you different special abilities, including you can destroy one of those monuments that I explained earlier, which is one of the two ways to destroy monuments in the game. So at most, I think 3 monuments will get destroyed in the whole game. The Ents can destroy one, and then that ring track. Each player could destroy one, depending on how far they make it on their ring tracks. Remember, it's not a tug of war anymore. It's just you get enough and then you auto win. All right. So those are the 3 win conditions that were ported over. They got the science kind of with the races. They got the military conflict pawn kind of with the blue cards now, and then the rings, and then they have the political from Agora got ported over in the movement of troops, and then they forgot about the points way to win, which is okay in my book. All right, I think it comes down to what you want. The expansions add a tremendous amount of game, but I think it is a bit much. Making a simple game with a main focus on drafting and timing into something that has more layers, but pulls away from the simple fencing for cards. Duel for Middle-earth is a very, very clean remake, streamlining a game that is already rather clean. I noticed so many kinks in the original after playing Duel for Middle-earth. Personally, I would pick Duel for Middle-earth. You still get the great modern streamlined version, and I'm pretty sure with its success, the game will receive expansions later on. Lord of the Rings Duel all day, night, year, life long. All right. Seven Wonders Duel has a lot of expansions, but just one is good. Just one is good. One expansion is good. Which does it have a lot of expansions? It only has 2 expansions. Yeah, this person says there's only 2 expansions. All right, that guy got downvoted. Poor guy. Okay, so Ender's Game Reviewer says, just to be clear, which of these two games are you actually talking about? Lord of the Rings Duel 2020, 2002, or Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth? Okay, that guy got downvoted too. The answer was yes. It's kind of funny. Poor Ender's Game Reviewer. Um, that was so. He got downvoted again. He's like, thanks for the clarity. Wait, you are not the OP. OP, can you confirm? I think everybody knows we're not talking about this Lord of the Rings duel. We're talking about Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. It's kind of a cool title though. And Ender's Gamer should just like clarify, like, hey, I understand you're talking about Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth because I'm not dumb. Like I understand that we're comparing Seven Wonders duel style game to Lord of the Rings duel. You know, maybe I should like really muddy the waters and create a YouTube video talking about this Lord of the Rings duel from 2002. Sheesh whiz. All right, what does this game look like? Um, all right, well that'll be a funny one. I wonder if that's on Board Game Arena, or I can just go out and buy it and then compare it. What is this? Just the Balrog duel? Good night. All right. Has anybody like commented on this thing in a while? Like what's the last 17 years ago, 13 years ago, 15 years ago, 6 years ago example rules? Like nobody's even talking about this game anymore. Yet this guy's like, "Hey guys, which one do you mean? Cuz I'm the Ender's Game reviewer. I know what's up." Anyways, I personally don't like, okay, the game's over, let's tally points, oh, you won, versus I can see you're leading in this area, so now I'll react. I prefer seeing three win conditions, state, and try to counter it. But if you're like that, then you will like Seven Wonders or Lord of the Rings Duel from Middle Earth. All right. Yep, I've played a lot of Seven Wonders on BGA. Yeah, Seven Wonders Duel, they mean. Since I've made this post, tallying points just isn't very satisfying. I'm with you there, kind of. It's exciting though. If you normally win by science and you normally win by military, getting to the end with points is kind of like, all right, I had to pull out my lightsaber. Like I'm this like Jedi who I can like shoot lightning bolts at you. Or I guess that's the Sith, but like I could shoot my science at you, or I can force choke you. But if you get past all of that, then all right, I'll pull out my lightsaber. Like you made me go for points at the end. Like it's like now it's like, am I good at lightsaber duels? I don't really think I've been practicing that. So what they need to do is they should have done a Star Wars duel. Can we get the IP for Star Wars in Seven Wonders duel format? That'd be pretty unique. Oh yeah. Mm. Okay. So I prefer Lord of the Rings duel myself. I do think it is way better, even though I do not enjoy the ring mechanic too much. I feel like the game is beautiful and more streamlined than the original. There hasn't been a single game of both versions that I have not enjoyed. So you are okay, whichever way you choose to go. Okay, and so like some people won't like Lord of the Rings Duel for its simplicity. You're seeing the way people are talking. I'm just summarizing it. Some people will love it for its simplicity, and um, just my personal opinion. If you're anything like myself, you are going to prefer. This is sad to say because I really love one of them, but the other one is the better one, and it's Lord of the Rings. It's not Lord of the Rings Duel. Yeah, it's Seven Wonders Duel with all the expansions is an S tier game. Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. It won't be making my top 10, but oh man, it's still so good. Like I mean, like top 10 games of thousands of games that I've played that I'll only make 10 games considered S tier. Lord of the Rings is an A tier. There's only maybe 100 or so A tier games that I have ever played. This is one of them. It's just really really great. Of maybe 1,000 games that I've played, right? Um, so yeah, I would say pick this one. Yeah, Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth. Pick that one, and pick Seven Wonders Duel with all the expansions. Try them both. I picked both. I think they're both great. If I had to pick one, I'll end it at that. You know where I stand. It's just the Seven Wonders Duel engine is such an amazing engine. Anyways, Let me know in the comments below what you think, and also let's get that expansion for 700 or for Lord of the Rings Duel. Let's get that expansion coming out. All right, take care, all.